Pura vida, beautiful warrior. My name is Diane Kaiser, and I am the creator of DianeKaiser.com and the founder of a woman's hormone transformational program called Chai Transformation. And that stands for Cleanse Your Body, Heal Your Hormones, Ignite Your Life. Today, I want to go over something very important, and it's probably something that no one has ever told you about. We're going to talk about the beautiful thyroid. And this is a gland that sits right here in your neck and your throat. If you have a lot of swelling here and you have issues with energy or bloating or your hair falling out or depression or digestion or sleep or sex drive or fertility, among so many other things like dry skin, you may have a thyroid condition. Your TSH is not the only important measure to get a good idea of your thyroid hormonal health. So your doctor has been totally misinformed and inappropriately trained in the interest of making money for them for a drug called Synthroid. Heard of it? It's a T4 only medication that is prescribed to women when their thyroid hormone is out of range, specifically T4. And this is a blood test that's done by your doctor. If it's out of range and you're hypothyroid, which means that not enough thyroid hormone is getting into the cells, so your number may be high. Let's say maybe you're like a 5 and your doctor's like, whoa, that's really high, we have to get you more. It's only high because the brain is telling the body, the thyroid, to make more of it because the thyroid hormone isn't getting converted appropriately and isn't getting into the cell. So I get that question a lot, like why is it hypo when my number's high? And that's the reason why. It just means that your body's making more of it because not enough of it's getting into the cell. So it's very important. It's not just what we make, which is what these blood tests are. It's what gets into the cell so our body can use it. What good is anything unless it can get into the door, right? I want to talk to you guys today about the real root cause issue that's going on with your thyroid numbers that no doctor has told you about. Why do I know this? Because I have worked with thousands of women all around the world, heal their hormones and all of the diseases associated with hormones, simply by looking deeper into why do we not feel amazing? Why am I so tired is the number one question I get. I know for sure that in allopathic world, which is the Western medicine world in America, which is also being trained in Australia and UK, the doctors are not trained to look farther than how do we understand the root cause issue of why your hormones are out of whack. You get a diagnosis, they're like, oh, you got hypothyroidism, here's a drug. Why are we not asking the question why? I'm here to encourage you to start asking the question why, because no one's ever taught you that either. So why would your TSH, T4, and T3 numbers be out of range? And I have 3 answers for you. And why this is so important is because if you don't get to the root cause issues of why these things are out of range in your tissues, then you're never going to get better and you're going to be imprisoned to a drug for the rest of your life. And by the way, Synthroid has a ton of negative side effects. One of the most common ones I see is heart palpitations and feeling wired but tired. Like the brain is like super wired, but the body's super tired, and inability to build muscle, and then hair loss, big time. So you guys are going to get pumped full of Synthroid until you get to the root cause issue of why you have hypothyroidism. And here are the statistics. 95% of we women who have hypothyroidism, not enough thyroid hormone is getting into the cells, is caused by an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. Well, what is that? What does an autoimmune disease even mean? An autoimmune disease simply means that the body gets confused. The immune system sees that there's something to attack and get out of the body, and it accidentally attacks our own organs, thinking that it's the bad thing, like maybe a food molecule like gluten or something, or maybe like a heavy metal. And there's something called molecular mimicry, whereby the molecules of gluten, when we eat a lot of gluten, and I'll talk about that in video 5 when I talk about diet and digestion for specific thyroid sufferers and how to heal it and how I healed mine, got rid of my autoimmune disease. But gluten looks just like the thyroid gland. So the autoimmune system is rooted in a lot of things, toxicity, toxic foods, and there are about 6 of them that we should not be eating if we have Hashimoto's hypothyroidism. Or if we just have hypothyroidism, you probably haven't been diagnosed properly because, like I said, 95% of the time, why we have the hypothyroid condition to begin with is because we've got a confused and upset autoimmune condition that no doctor has ever been trained to diagnose you with. Why? Why is that? Why have they been not trained properly? Well, currently as it is, there is no drug to give you to get rid of your autoimmune disease. If they give you a drug to fix the T4 issue, then there will probably be another drug that they can prescribe you after that, because Synthroid has so many side effects that then the next thing you know, they're going to give you another drug. And the average thyroid sufferer that I work with who comes to me has been seeing doctors for over 10 years, has seen over 15 practitioners, and is on over 5 medications, and has tried or is still currently on over 10 different supplements and still feels nowhere near what she wants to feel. Often constipated, often exhausted, and just totally frustrated and running out of time and running out of money. So it actually can be a lot more simple than that. And I want to share with you guys what is causing this. So there's 2 things here, you guys. So I talked about autoimmune disease, and it is the fastest growing disease in America currently. And it is the thing that currently is the 3rd leading cause of death right now. Because why? That nobody really understands it in the medical community, but we do in the functional medicine space, and I've been trained for this. I reversed my own autoimmune disease because of the lab testing that we do, which is not just a blood test. And even still, the blood tests that the doctors run, they don't look for all this other stuff. What is the other stuff? There is something that you guys may have heard of, and it's called the kissing disease. Have you heard of it? It's called mono. Yes. It's like when you get sick for 2 weeks at a time and you have this awful, nasty cold, and it won't go away. And you probably got it when you're in college, because, you know, when we're in college, we get drunk and we make out with random people. And then we're like, oh man, I got real sick. And then we're eating crappy and we're drinking and we're working and we're also studying for 12 hours a day. And we've got midterms and full terms and sideways terms and terms of endearment, which is why we get mono. So anyway, back to the kissing virus. If you have had mono at any point in your life, or maybe you didn't know you had mono, but you've been sick, like, you know, you had a cold for like 2 weeks that felt really debilitating and you were just in bed for a long time, you probably have this virus in your body somewhere, somehow. 95% of us plus have this disease, this virus somewhere in the body. Now what happens is that, let's say you had it when you were like 18. Now you're like 30 or 40 and you're like, oh my God, I'm always sick. Or like you get the flu often, right? Like your immune system's just shot, or you're shot too, right? What happens is this virus is woken back up again. It's like the sleeping dragon, and stress of any kind will wake it up. Chemical stress, emotional stress, physical stress, not enough sleep, too many arguments, working too much. All of these things are a lot of stress, things we put in our face. And I'll talk about that in one of the other videos. So what happens is these viruses get woken back up again. They live in the thyroid. Mono, Epstein-Barr, lives in the thyroid, in the gland. And so when it gets woken back up again, it starts spitting out all kinds of problems, all kinds of trouble. It causes all kinds of issues. And then you might see antibodies on a blood test. This is not something that your doctor is going to run for you. You may have to arm wrestle them in order to even run antibodies. And even if you find out that you have antibodies, which is the root cause issue of hypothyroidism, they're not going to know what to do with you. They have no idea how to treat it. So there's 2 things we've got going on here. We've got a virus, we've got autoimmune disease, and we've got viral or hormonal numbers that are out of range, T4, TSH, T3, and maybe even reverse T3. And that reverse T3 I'll talk about in the diet section when we talk about digestion and diet, which are the things that will dictate what happens along the cascade of thyroidal hormone. So the things that cause autoimmune disease is you have a genetic predisposition, maybe one of your parents or both, or your grandparents had some sort of autoimmune disease. You have a leaky gut, which is present in pretty much every American and everyone around the world at this point, because chemicals and inhaling chemicals is what causes leaky gut, as well as over-the-counters, as well as drugs, as well as nasty foods, processed foods, anything that's not native to Mother Nature, which we're pretty much eating a processed food, everything life diet these days, and emotional stress as well. So those 2 things plus an environmental trigger. Often the environmental trigger is the virus getting woken up back again, or it could be even just like randomly you just sniff in this like tree that you've never sniffed in, right? And then all of a sudden you get like these allergies, and then you get sick all the time, and then like you can't figure out why you're itchy, or all of the symptoms that I mentioned earlier. So those 3 things are the perfect trilogy for an autoimmune disease to start. The third thing I want to talk about is parasites. Very commonly, when I see someone who has an Epstein-Barr virus plus or a highly active virus, or maybe recently in the past, plus also has out of range thyroid hormone figures on the blood test, then I can almost guarantee that you probably have some sort of parasite infection as well, which is typically blastocystic hominis. I had all of these things, you guys. I had every single one of these things, and I worked for the last 6 years to create a protocol on how to reverse all of it. Your doctor has no clue about this stuff. I work with nurses, and I've worked with them to get rid of their thyroid disease and to help them understand the root cause issues that were going on in their tissues. And they brought that information to their doctors in the clinics that they work at, and these doctors are like, whoa, I never knew this stuff. Some of these doctors are leaving their practices because they're waking up. I even wrote a book about this because it's so important for everyone to understand the root cause of our suffering instead of just band-aiding these symptoms with drugs, which is only going to make things worse. And you're going to lose time, and you're going to lose money, and you're going to end up with, like a lot of my clients who end up spending $15, $20, $30, $50, $100,000 on medical bills and still don't get where they want to be. So all of these things I can help you with, you guys. I can run tests. I can understand the tests. I work with women all around the world to understand these things, to see the total big picture, and then work with you with nutrients and diet and lifestyle and mindset to get the life and the body and the thyroid hormone numbers that you desire. So imagine putting all of this to rest once and for all, getting off of the medications, getting rid of the symptoms, and being able to chase, instead of your diseases and the symptoms and the solutions, chasing your dreams instead. So it's time to turn your disease into dreams, so that you can finally have the energy, the body, and the life that you absolutely deserve. I'm Diane Kaiser. I'll see you on another one of the videos in 3, 4, or 5 about all the other things that can affect your total thyroid and adrenal hormonal picture, and why hormones are absolutely the root cause of every single disease. So every symptom is a hormonal issue. Remember that. And I'm here to help you break free from all of them. If you want to talk to me about any of this stuff and finally get rid of your prisoned hormones and all of the diseases and symptoms associated with that, click on my website, DianeKaiser.com, and then click on Hormonal Breakthrough, and you could schedule a time to talk with me then. I look forward to seeing you guys then or any other time around the world, and I'll see you in the next video, if not on a call soon. Take care.